For those of us who live in Toowoomba, we are so aware of the natural beauty of our city. There's the parks, the cafes, the artwork. What is there not to love about Toowoomba? And I do love Toowoomba. At the same time, it's so easy to live in our city and just be unaware of the other side, of the domestic violence, the family breakdown, those who are suffering and lonely. You're going to hear from Debbie Dodds, who has been a chaplain in our city for many years and continues to do so to this day.
Some years ago, I realised I'd had my head in the sand. I was living in Toowoomba in a really lovely street, had a lovely family, and I knew there were things about Toowoomba that were on the seamier side, but I didn't want to know about it because I wanted to be comfortable. But I was challenged by someone and I started to realise I needed to look at the city and see if I could really love it. And I said one day to the Lord, okay, if you want to use me in any way, go for it. I need to remind you that when you say that, He loves that, because He does. And it wasn't long after that I got a job as a school chaplain at a primary school in a really tough area in Toowoomba. And I started to learn things about Toowoomba I never ever knew. I saw families that were broken and greatly dysfunctional. I saw poverty, not just of finances, but in relationships and in their heart, in their soul. And I saw girls that were in my primary school very soon became pregnant as soon as they started high school. I saw what drugs did to families. I was involved in families where their dad committed suicide, quite a few of them. And teenage boys that later on also killed themselves because life was so empty. And it hurt, it broke my heart, it made me feel sick at times, and yet it changed my life for the better, because now I could be part of the answer in some way. I learnt to listen, I learnt to walk along a journey that was really tough, that personally I wouldn't want to do, but these people were so lonely. And I guess I want everyone to realise that there's such a need for people to listen, for people to spend time, for people to be willing to walk through tough times with people. I learned a lot about domestic violence, and one family, I still remember the story. The mum was a mother of 5 kids to 4 different men and found out she was pregnant again. And when she told her 16-year-old teenage son, he'd been so angry at all the men in her life, and he didn't want another baby in the family, and he belted her up and kicked her in the stomach till she lost the baby. And then he felt happy, but she was destroyed. So I saw the effect of the whole family, and I saw many times how domestic violence ruins a family. It can be the man or the woman or a teenager that is violent within the home, and everyone else is learning and watching. But I've also found that befriending families like this and just being a listener, just being someone who embraces them and makes them feel safe, has been a real answer to strengthening them. I had someone turn up one day who I hadn't seen for years, who was facing crisis and probably going to jail. And she said, I remembered that you were there for me years ago. Would you be there for me now? Wouldn't that be great to hear from somebody? And just recently I've been working with Rehab, which works with people in the sex industry. And there's one girl I've just loved furiously, and quite a few of us have for the last 2 years. She exited the industry but said to me, I realise now you didn't have an agenda, you just wanted to love me, and you love me with unconditional love. Wouldn't we just all want to hear that? I think of Jesus when he touched the leper, he touched a funeral cask, and this made him unclean, and that's what he wanted to be. In being unclean, he was loving the people that no one else thought of. And I know we talk about people in the margins, I talk about them being forgotten. How about we start to meet those people that feel forgotten? And it doesn't matter if we get dirty in other people's eyes. We're able to be a blessing. I know about the sex industry in town so much more than I used to, and part of me hates that, and the other part is really glad that I know something. There's a website that advertises awful things, asks for things, sells things, and I read it and I weep. But this is the cities that we live in. And if I can meet someone that's walking that road and somehow give them some hope to step out, because we have girls who are going to uni who can't afford it, so they sell themselves to pay for uni. We don't want that. How can we help them? I know one girl who at the moment who's working with another girl in her own unit, and just throughout the virus has been earning money crazily trying to get through, but she's getting sicker and sicker because of all the things that are happening to her body through all this. but I wonder what's happening to her soul. So I just want to challenge us who are Jesus followers, if we're not the ones that are there to hold them up, to lift their head, to sit in the gutter with them, to bring hope, teach them how to laugh again, then what are we doing? I read a quote the other day that said this: "Where might you see suffering around you today that God is calling you not to ignore? Please don't ignore the call of God to love this city."